back to my channel. I am Heather Briggs of My Sew Quilty Life. Welcome! I'm so excited you are here. We've got a fun tutorial today and I cannot wait to get started. We are talking all about Flower Stand Block of the Month. So this month is the kickoff for month 2 and I'm so excited. So go ahead and grab those month 2 flower packs and we're going to dive right in making blocks 3 and 4. So for this tutorial you do need your flower pack, so go ahead and open those up. And you're going to need your block pattern. So block pattern for block 3 and 4. Now I wanted to point out really quick a correction on block 3. Even with all the editing we do, sometimes some things fall through the cracks. So I just want you to pull out your pattern if you haven't already and let's make this correction together so that you don't miscut your fabric, okay? So on page 1 of block 3, we are going to make a correction to piece B. This is a background piece. It is at the top, piece B. So piece B should measure, the length should measure 14.5, not 14.25. So please make that adjustment to your pattern. Block 4 is good, the rest of block 3 is great, but just go ahead and make that correction right now before you dive in. So I wanted to start off by showing you the block. So this is the block that we're going to be making today in this video. It is super cute little pansies in this cute little crate. I'm so excited for you to make this. It is a lot of fun. And I wanted to show you really quick what it looks like in the quilt and where it is. Because I never gave away where the blocks are in the quilt and which order we were going in, but I wanted to show you. So block 3 is right next to block 1 and 2, go figure, in the quilt. And it is right here. You should be able to see that, right here. This adorable little crate. Now this block does have hand embroidery on it. But if you have that panel or you wanted to switch it out for something else, like a piece of fabric, to showcase a piece of fabric, you're more than welcome. So I'm so excited to get started. Let's go ahead and get started on this tutorial for block 3. Okay, I wanted to quickly show the blocks that we're going to be making this month in our Flower Stand quilt. So here is the quilt. I'm going to lay it out really quickly so we can see what blocks we're working on this month. Okay, so the first block, block 3 that we're working on in month 2 is this adorable little pansies block that is in a crate. It is so adorable. I love it so much. We've got 3 little pansies and they are in this cute crate. And this is where we're having our second block of hand embroidery. So if you already hand embroidered all of your words, you're good to go. You can go ahead and start this block. But if you haven't yet, you will need to hand embroider pansies or just cut out the pre-printed panel that you purchased from my shop. So that is block 3. We're gonna get started on that one. And then this tulip block is block 4. This one's a long block, but I think it is so cute. These tulips in this little basket, so adorable. I think both of these blocks are pretty easy this month to make. These ones is just repetitive of the same block than your crate. So I think you guys should have no problem completing these. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Oh, I just love these blocks. They're so cute. I just love how different they are. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna take this down and we're gonna go ahead and get started on block 3. So what you need are your pieces cut out. You're going to need your month 2 flower pack. So again, your flower pack holds all the contents and everything you need for that month. So here is the month 2 flower pack and I'm gonna pull out my pattern. This pack is a little lighter than last month because last month I had so much to share with you. So this month is just the pattern, your giveaway, a free bonus pattern that you will see a video for soon, and then your month 2 giveaway and your little free item this month, which is super cute. So cute. I can't wait for you to see it. Okay, so here I have all of my pieces organized. Last month the free gift was these alphabet markers and I just put mine in a cute little bag, and so every month I can just break them out with the letters. So this is what our month 2 block 3 will look like. So this is block 3. So you're going to open up your pattern to page 1 and get cutting. So I like to organize my pieces before I get started on a design board. I know I mention this a lot in my videos, but here I am all organized. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started with step 1. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started with step 1. And in step 1 in all my patterns is always draw a diagonal line on the back of your fabric squares so that you can do those corner square triangles. So for fabric G and fabric J squares, we're drawing a diagonal line from corner to corner. So I'm going to grab one and just show you what that looks like really quick. So I have one of my squares, and I just have a ruler, and what I like to use is a Frixon Marker. This will come off with heat, although if your quilt is in the cold, or if you wanted to test it by drawing a mark on your fabric and putting it in the freezer or the refrigerator, that line does come back ever so slightly. So just keep that in mind. I know some people use pens, pencils, lots of markers, but it's been asked in our group what people are using, and this is what I'm using, a Frixon fine liner marker. Now, these are not made specifically for quilting, but a lot of quilters use them. So this is all it is I'm taking a ruler, and from corner to corner, let's see if I can get this right. From corner to corner, I am just drawing a diagonal line, and my marker is a little older, so I have to do it a couple times, but this is all you're doing. Now, my trick is I don't draw the diagonal lines unless that square is probably over 4.5 inches. I use diagonal seam tape. This is by Cluck Cluck Sew, and you can find this at your local quilt shop or online quilt shop, and I put this on my sewing machine. I align the needle with the red line, and I put a little piece on my sewing machine, so then I just follow that in order to sew on that diagonal line when I'm ready. Okay, enough about that. Let's go ahead and go to step 2. So for step 2, we need our fabric J squares and our fabric M rectangle. So let me grab those. So here we have M, and we need 2 of our J squares. So these will have your diagonal line drawn on them if you do that step. All we're doing here, super simple, is we are placing our J squares on our fabric M, and we are sewing on the diagonal line according to the pattern. Now, I have gone ahead and done that to save time. So this is what your piece will look like. So this is the top of the flower. Now, be sure after every time you sew any piece, especially these corner square triangles or stitch and flip units, always go and measure to make sure after you've pressed that your unit measures what it's supposed to. After each step in the pattern, I do have what your piece should measure. So okay, so that's what you're going to do for step 2. So this is now our M unit. Now, moving on to step 3, we are just taking our fabric I rectangles, 2 of them, and attaching them to the sides of our M unit here. Again, I have already done that. I'm a little ahead today on getting this done. So I have done that for one of these, and this is what it should look like. Pay close attention to the black arrows in the pattern. That tells you the pressing direction. I've laid that out for you so that your seams nest perfectly and you don't have to think about it, but feel free to press in the direction that you are more comfortable with. I know some people are pressing open. So that is step 3. Now we're going to move on to step 4. Step 4 essentially has 2 steps for 2 different pieces. I don't know how to say that. So I'm going to move this to the side. So for step 4, we need our fabric K rectangles and our fabric L rectangles. That is what I'm saying. You need 2. Well, you actually need 3 pieces, but you need 2 different size pieces, so K and fabric L. And on your instructions, you're going to see how this is laid out. So we're going to start with the first one, fabric K. So for fabric K, all you're doing is on the bottom of fabric K, with your diagonal drawn line squares, you're just placing them on the bottom, and they should touch as long as you cut it correctly. These squares should touch. Oh my goodness, these little guys are so hard to, there we go. All you're gonna do is sew on your diagonal lines. Now I have gone ahead and done that. Woohoo, I'm feeling good. I've gotten some steps ahead. So I have done that. This is what it'll look like when you press. You are pressing towards your fabric J on this block, okay, on this piece. So this is what it should look like. Now we are going to make, so that's done. So make 3 of those in each of your prints. Next, we're going to concentrate on fabric L because this one's a little different. So for this one, you're also putting fabric J at the bottom, but because if you put these 2 together, you see that this piece is smaller than this piece. So in the pattern, I broke it out. You are putting 1 piece right there and assembling that. sew. This is what it'll look like. So you're gonna sew on your diagonal line. And then after that, you're going to overlap this one. So you will have a small overlap here. Not a lot, not a 1/4 inch. It's less than a 1/4 inch, but you will have a small overlap. So don't worry if you don't have a 1/4 inch right there. And then you're going to press, you're gonna sew on your diagonal lines, and you are going to press in towards fabric L. And this is what you should have right here. So this is what your piece should look like after you have completed that step. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to step 5. So I'm gonna move these. I do have to go back and assemble these soon. But for the sake of time, I did have somebody mention that my tutorials are a little long, so I was trying to see if that would help if I went ahead and broke out all the steps first instead of saying, oh, I have to go sew. And I talk a lot, so that's probably another reason. Okay, for step 5, it is a little different. So for step 5, you are taking your L units. So the ones that we just did here, L units, you're taking your 2 L units per each color. So you should have 3 different colors. And all we're doing here is taking our fabric G squares and placing 1 fabric G on the top right hand corner of 1 L unit and 1 fabric G on the top left hand corner. And we are assembling on that diagonal line, and then we are pressing towards fabric G. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and when I get back, we're gonna assemble the flower unit. Okay, I just finished assembling all those pieces that I just showed you. So here we have our, let's see, LL units and RL units. So then I have these units from, let me tell you the exact word, the flower top unit. I have the flower top unit there. So what you need to do is just get yourself organized really quick, just so you can make sure your pieces are going the right way. There was a lot of things that we just did there. So just be cautious, just take your time, lay it out. Don't just start jumping in and sewing. Okay, so those are our flower tops. These are our K units. So here we go. All right. You ready to put these together? I'm so excited. Okay, so what you're gonna do first is you are going to assemble, I'll take one of these. Let me move these to the side. You're gonna put this K unit in the middle. Hope you can see that good. I was trying to put it on a design board, a small one, so that I can take it over to the sewing machine. And you're going to assemble your LL unit, RL unit, and your K unit. Now, these do need to nest right here and here. These seams need to nest, which is why we pressed them, if you look at the back, which is why we pressed them in opposite directions here. I don't know if you can see that good. So what I like to do is I will start with one side first, and I will nest my seam like this, and I will stitch just a little bit right there. I know everybody does it differently, but this is how I get accurate results, is I stitch a little bit like that, and then I pop it open, make sure it's good, and then I will go ahead and stitch the complete seam. So you need to do that first. You're going to assemble the K to the L units here. Then you're going to assemble your flower top unit to the bottom. Now, your flower top unit should also nest here and here. So these seams right here and here should nest as well. So after you have completed sewing these together, you are pressing in towards fabric K because you pressed out on these, you want them to nest. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that for all 3 of these blocks, and then I will be right back to show you our flower unit. So I thought I would show you really quick. I know a lot of people are like, what is Heather talking about? So in order for me, this is me, to achieve more accurate results, like I said, I will nest my seams and add a couple stitches right there and check them. So I wanted to show you what that looks like. Now, I do this for many reasons. One, because I'm not perfect. I have tried many of times to just start sewing down the top, end at the bottom, only to find out that my seam had shifted, even with pinning. So what I have found, and I think I learned this from Kimberly Jolly of Fat Quarter Shop, what I have found, if I just go over that seam with just like 6 stitches or so, and I can flip it open, so you see how it's not attached fully, I can look at my seam before I get totally finished with the seam, and I can just see, do these line up or not. And if they don't, I'm only taking out 6 stitches instead of all of these stitches. Okay, now I know some of you are able to just plop that on there, nest it, and go, and it works great, pops it open, and it's perfect, but that's just not my reality. I have only been sewing since, I would say, 2018 on a machine, so I still have a lot to learn, and I found that this process here, doing it this way, really yields me the most accurate results that I've been able to get. So if you're struggling, especially with working with small pieces, I know like putting a pin in these small pieces, it can be like not holding exactly what you want because there's not enough fabric there. So just try it, just give it a try. I'm really happy with how that looks, and I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest of that seam and I'll be back. I also wanted to show you, I do the same thing when I'm stitching bigger seams. So I didn't stitch this entire seam here. What I did is just stitched just right there on where those seams are supposed to nest, and I just take a look. I take a look at, okay, do I have some extra fabric there? So right there, I don't know if you can see that. Let me go up. There's a little bit of yellow showing. So I know I need to sew a little bit more in here, but I like where it's nesting here and here. This one actually looks really good. So yeah, this isn't fully stitched up yet, but I just love to do that. And then I'm going to stitch in more or out more, whichever way you look at it. I guess out more, just by 1 stitch length, and then I will assemble all of that together and see what that looks like. I hope that helps. I know some people can be really frustrated with their seams not perfectly lining up, but that is what I do. And if this was off a little bit, like there was a little bit of extra yellow fabric, I honestly just stretch it a little bit just so that it lays flat. I thought I'd show you really quick. I just finished assembling that top unit. So in order to show you like how I hold this in order to press. So this is a lot of bulk right here, especially with these small pieces. Luckily we're able to nest those seams, but what I do is I always finger press over my seams first. So I finger press my seams and then I start working out, and I just want to make sure I'm not stretching anything. And then with my iron, I will go ahead and see how I'm still laying my fingers on that. Not stretching, just laying my fingers on it. I will then put my iron on it, just like that. And same thing with here, I'll then move my iron over just like that, and then it should lay flat. Now here we are pressing open, and if you feel like the seam is too bulky and it's not wanting to lay flat, pressing open is a great option. So, and then I just go like this once it's not that hot, so I don't burn myself, and I press open. Then after I've pressed open with the iron, I will then put it back like this, press the iron on it one last time, and I'll usually put it under a clapper. Just while I'm pressing the other pieces, this is what a clapper looks like. So it's just this solid block of wood that then helps, I believe it takes the heat out of the block, so then it presses it nice and flat. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I will be right back to show you this flower unit. Okay, I am extremely pleased with the way these turned out. I think everything nested great. Everything trimmed up great according to what it's supposed to in the pattern, and there's nothing like everything just working out right. Am I right? Okay, so now that we have those, we are going to set those aside, and we are going to start on our leaves and leaf units. I'm going to set these over here. What we need is our fabric in. So we have several fabric ends, so we are going to lay it out according to how the pattern looks to be helpful. So we have one going this way, and one going this way. Now what we're going to do here, and pay close attention so you don't assemble these incorrect, we're taking our fabric J squares, and you'll see we're making one this way, and we're making three this way. So we're making 3 this way. Now what that's going to look like after you assemble it is this and this right here. Okay, so we need to make one. So I have my one. We need to make one of this one. So I'm going to change these. Now that I've confused you, we're going to be making one of this lighter green, and then we're going to be making 2 of these darker greens. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we will move on to step 8. Okay, I just completed my LN, so my N units, my LN and my RNs. So here we have what it should look like in your instructions right here. So you have 4 units, only 1 is to the left side. The rest of the 3 are to the right side. So just be careful when you are piecing that you have that. Okay, now we're gonna move on to step 8. So this is the small leaf unit. So what you need is 1 fabric C rectangle, 1 fabric C. You're gonna need 1 fabric O. You are going to need 2 H's, and this is just for one of the small leaves here. So 2 H's. And then you're going to need 1 of your RN units. So remember, this side was RN. So think about it, left in, RN, right in. RN is right in, LN is left in. So that's what that actually means. Like, to be honest, that's what it means. I just didn't want to spell out left and I didn't want to spell out right because it makes the pattern longer. So for step 8, we're going to do this. So you might notice, I think this might be the first place in the pattern. Well, no, the flower unit had it. You have arrows with numbers. That is the order you're assembling in. So what we're doing here first is we're assembling fabric H to our RN. Second, we're assembling the other H to our RN and pressing towards the black arrows. Then we are assembling our fabric O and our fabric C. Simple, super simple. I like to combine stuff like that because I know that the patterns can get really large and I wanted to keep them small, and that's pretty easy. But I also wanted to show you step 9. So I will assemble that in just a bit, but I wanted to show you step 9. So for step 9, you need 2 fabric D rectangles, and you're only making 1 of these, you're making 2 of those. So we have our 2 fabric D, and I actually think they go this way. So just be careful. Just be careful that you have your pieces going the right way. And we need 2 fabric H's. So 1, 2. We need 1 fabric P, so you should only have 1. We need 1 fabric P, and 1 LN and 1 RN. So these go the same way. So essentially, these ones up here, this one is going to all be the same color. So you're gonna have 2 of the same color and 1 of these. So for this one, the first step we're doing is assembling fabric D to our RN unit and then fabric H. Then we are going to assemble our D fabric to our LN and then fabric H. And then we're gonna assemble those to our fabric P. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And when we get back, we're gonna start assembling these flowers. Okay, I just finished up with these cute little leaf units. So here we have 2 of our small leaves right here. So those 2, I went ahead and trimmed them so they were perfect. And then here we have our big leaf. So this was step 8, this is step 9. So now we're gonna move on to step 10. Now we're gonna assemble our small flower unit, and then with step 11, assembling our big flower unit. So for step 10, we're making 2. So these smaller units, I'm gonna put this one aside. So you're gonna wanna look at your page 1 where it shows right here, just your color placement. So what we need is we need this one and we need this green one to complete this. And then this pink one is that middle one. So it'll be the big flower unit and these will be the small. So what we're gonna do is we are just going to assemble. Super simple, assemble like this. And then we also need fabric F. So 2 fabric Fs. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna assemble our fabric F to the top of our flower unit. And then we're gonna press towards fabric F. And then we are gonna assemble our small leaf unit to our flower unit. Now, one thing I wanna point out is we do want this to align in the middle so that when you assemble with your 1/4 inch seam, those meet nicely. I'm gonna pop it open right there. Let's see. You see that? So if all goes well, that should nest fine and align with a 1/4 inch seam. So just keep that in mind. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and align it, and I'm going to I'll stitch on this side because it's easier. I like to stitch on the side that has the least amount of seams. So that's a tip for you. So I'm gonna assemble that little 1 inch piece right there and I'll check it. Then I will assemble the rest. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that for these 2. And then while we're here, let's just talk about step 11. So for step 11, we are just assembling the flower unit to the big leaf unit. And again, we just want to make sure that we're aligning this right here. So I'm going to go ahead and do all of that, and then we will move on to step 12. Okay, here I have, let me get to my pattern here. Here I have my big flower unit and my 2 small flower units. I forgot to cut that. Forgot to trim those, but it's gonna be all right. So now what we're gonna do is move on to step 12. And for step 12, we are just assembling these flowers together. So this one goes here, this one goes in the middle, and this one goes here. Now, the only place these really line up is right here, right here, right here, and right here. Other than that, you're free to just assemble these together. I will make sure those line up just because that's how I have it in the pattern, and I just want to make sure that that aligns correctly. But I will do that, and then we will move on to step 13. You're going to press open on these seams. You're going to press open. Okay, I just finished assembling the flower cluster unit. Oh my gosh, this is so adorable. I'm very happy with where my seams nested. So there were 3 spots, one here, and one here. Very, very, very happy. I don't know if you can see that. That looks really, really good. I'm so happy. I don't think I got them to line up that good on my initial quilt. Okay, so now I'm gonna set that aside. We're gonna move on to step 13, and this is making that crate, and I'm gonna combine a couple steps. So what we need first for step 13 is 2 fabric R rectangles and 1 U. So let's 2 fabric R and 1 U. All we're doing here is assembling these together, and we're actually going to make 2. Now, when you're doing this crate, it is very important for you to be pressing and sewing accurately. If your seam is off, crooked, or whatnot, you will be able to see with this brown contrasting this low volume and with pressing. So you want to be very careful that your seam is straight, and you want to be careful that you're pressing straight and not stretching. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble those. After I assemble those, then this is where you're assembling your pansies. So whether you hand embroidered it or cut it out of the panel, this was cut out of the panel. It tells you exactly what you're supposed to trim it down to. After we've assembled these, we're going to assemble those to the pansies. Okay, then after we assemble those, we are assembling fabric T to the top and bottom. So I will go ahead and get that far, and then I will continue with step 16 when I get back. All right, and now fabric T to the top. And I just want to make note that I am trimming. So if I have any little bit sticking over or coming out, I am trimming to make sure it's clean every time before I sew another piece on. That just helps tremendously to make sure that you're getting as accurate seams as possible. So now I'm going to sew those on. Okay, here I have my T unit. And again, you just want to make sure that you're sewing as straight as possible. It does look like I got a little off here, but it doesn't bother me that much. I think once it's sewn into the block, I think it will look great. So what we need for step 16 is our fabric S. We're going to assemble those to the side, and I'm going to trim up these sides to make them straight. It doesn't appear that they are. And then you're going to press towards fabric S, and then you're going to assemble fabric Q. So again, just try really hard to make sure that you're staying straight so that your crate doesn't look wonky at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll be right back to finish up this block. Okay, I just finished up with this adorable crate unit. Here is the crate unit. Oh my goodness, this is so cute. I'm so excited about this. I feel like I could have done a little better, but you know what? I think it's gonna sew up just fine and quilt up just fine in the quilt. Look, I got some strings poking through that I need to cut out. Okay, so the next step we need to do is step 17. This is the last step. I'm so sad. You could really use this crate in a lot of different blocks. You could change out your flowers from the pattern and make a cute little pillow. I think that would be so cute. You could even like write mom in it for Mother's Day next year. Oh, so adorable. Okay, or flowers, or spring, or summer, something. Okay, so I'll move on. What we're gonna do is assemble our crate unit to our flower cluster unit here. Then we're going to assemble our fabric E to the sides, then fabric B. And remember, like I mentioned in the beginning, fabric B does have a correction. It's 14.5, not 14.25, the length. So just keep that in mind when you are cutting. So the first step we're gonna do is assemble our crate, our flower cluster unit. Then we're gonna press. We're gonna then assemble our fabric E, rectangles to the sides. Then after we've pressed, we're gonna assemble our fabric B and be completely done with the block. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I will be right back. Okay, are you ready to see the block Oh, it looks so pretty. I love it. This actually probably was better than the one that I made in the quilt, but it's okay. It's okay. It'll look great in this quilt too, and I love it. I think that the pansies with the panel turned out great. I think all my seams are pretty much straight, because I see one that's not, but it's okay. It's totally fine. But yeah, so I hope that you enjoy making this block 3. Again, don't forget about the pattern correction to piece B. That top piece should be cut at 14.5, not 14.25. So sorry about that. Even with all of the editing, something has slipped by. But I'm gonna go to the top camera to say goodbye, and I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. Okay, we just finished up with block 3, and it was so much fun to make. I hope you enjoy making this block. I think with each block you're going to get better and better at working with these smaller pieces. I know some of you might be struggling, but just keep at it. You'll get better and better. If you're following along with the Flower Stand Block of the Month, don't forget to share your progress. Use our special hashtag Flower Stand BOM on social media, and don't forget to tag me so we can give your block lots of love. Also, don't forget to post in the My So Quilty Life Quilty community group on Facebook so everybody can see what you're working on. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this video, and check out the next part for block 4. I will see you there. Bye, guys.